Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Foreclosure Help 777, where we talk about everything foreclosure related. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about a new person that's filed a complaint to stop foreclosure. Let's take a look. This one's in the Northern District of Texas in the federal court. The case number, if you want to follow, is 325CV00661, and it's Tennyson versus LoanCare LLC. And as you can see right here, on the 19th, the complaint was actually filed in court. So let's take a look at her complaint. Okay, here's the cover page to the complaint and the table of contents. Table of contents has the typical things you see in a complaint: parties, jurisdiction and venue, introduction, factual allegations, causes of action, count 1, breach of contract, count 2, FTCPA, count 3, negligence, count 4, fraudulent inducement, and then you have your conclusion and your prayer for relief. All right, well, let's take a look at this. And verified complaint has the parties list, the typical parties. LoanCare is a limited liability company in the state of Virginia, and she's in the state of Texas, and that therefore it is diversity jurisdiction, and we have to say that in the jurisdiction and venue section right here, as you can see. And there's your legal description of the property there. Introduction. Okay, so plaintiff Rachel Tennyson, appearing pro se, hereby files this verified complaint against defendant LoanCare LLC, alleging violations of the loan modification agreement, breach of contract, and other wrongful actions taken by the defendant in connection with plaintiff's mortgage loan. The defendant LoanCare LLC has acted in a manner that has caused significant financial hardship to the plaintiff, including sending contradictory information, misrepresenting the status of the loan, and failing to adhere to the terms and conditions of the loan modification agreement. Despite assurances made by the defendant, plaintiff's monthly payments have increased. The principal balance is inconsistent with loan modification terms, and the defendant has failed to properly account for payments and balances. Plaintiff seeks relief for the damages caused by these actions and requests the court correct these discrepancies and grant any other further relief it deems just and proper. Factual allegations. The averments of paragraphs 1 through 7 are realleged and incorporated herein by reference. Okay, these are the facts. On April 29, 2021, plaintiff purchased the property located at 806 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Ellis County, Texas, using Gateway Mortgage. The loan obtained by plaintiff was in the amount of $211,105, a FHA loan with a fixed interest rate of 3.625 and a term of 30 years. A copy of the promissory note and deed of trust is attached hereto as Exhibit A. The monthly payment amount was $962.75 for principal and interest. On 5/15/21, plaintiff received a letter from Gateway Mortgage telling her that her loan was sold or transferred to Lakeview Loan Servicing, LoanCare LLC. A copy of this letter is attached hereto as Exhibit B. Plaintiff was struggling with making payments and inquired about getting a loan modification. On February 23, 2023, plaintiff signed a loan modification and a partial claim deed of trust. The partial claim deed of trust was for $45,160.86. The $45,160.86 was removed from the principal balance of $211,105, which reduced the principal balance to $164,898.64. Plaintiff, believing that the reduction in the principal balance, that payments would be less each month and more affordable. A copy of the loan modification and partial claim deed of trust is attached as Exhibit C. The terms and conditions of the loan modification did not result in the expected decrease in monthly payments. Despite the reduction of the loan principal from $211,105 to $164,898.64 and the extension of the loan term from 30 to 40 years, plaintiff's monthly payment increased from $962.75 to $980.13. And this is just for principal and interest, guys. This does not include your escrow. This increase in payment is contrary to the expectations set by the loan modification and caused significant financial hardship to plaintiff. LoanCare's contradicting statements, and this is another thing. If their statements conflict with each other, there's something going on with your servicer, and we have to also go after them for these things. Defendant was harmed by plaintiff sending contradicting information. On May 15, 2024, a lien release was recorded in the County Recorder of Deeds showing that $10,555 had been satisfied. A copy of this is attached hereto as Exhibit D. On or around March 1, 2024, plaintiff logged into defendant's online portal, and the main page showed the total amount due was $19,425.76. A copy of this is attached Exhibit E. Plaintiff received a monthly statement for the month of April 2024 that showed that the total amount due was $4,552.85. A copy of this statement is attached hereto as Exhibit F. Exhibit E also shows that the payment due for 11/1/23 was paid on 12/4/23. Payment due on 12/1/23 was paid on 12/19/23. Payment due for 1/1/24 was paid on 1/11/24. And payment due for 2/1/24 was paid on 3/1/24. Plaintiff received a payment history for the year of 2023. It shows that the principal balance was $260,580.64 on March 17, 2023. Copy of this payment history is attached as Exhibit G. Exhibit F shows that after applying the $45,160.86, the principal balance was $215,419.78. This contradicts the loan modification terms and conditions which state that the principal balance is $164,898.64. See Exhibit C. On 4/23/24, plaintiff received a payoff statement from defendant that showed the payoff amount was $177,254.67. A copy of this payoff statement is attached hereto as Exhibit H. If you compare the payoff statement, Exhibit G, with the monthly statement for April 2024, you will see that there is a $13,238.50 difference in both the principal balances. On 6/18/24, plaintiff received a letter in the mail from defendant that stated her loan to them was paid in full. Can you believe that one? This letter stated specifically, "Dear Rachel Tennyson, the terms of your mortgage loan have been fully satisfied and the enclosed document has been recorded in the official land records office where your property is located. You do not need to take any further action regarding this matter, but please retain this important document for your records. It has been a pleasure to service your mortgage loan." So, when they say stuff like that, you're going to think, what? My loan's paid in full? Really? Really? That's what they said in their letter. A copy of this letter is attached to Exhibit I. The statement dated June 17, 2024 for payment due July 1st, 2024 does not show any sign of the loan being paid in full. A copy of this statement is attached hereto as Exhibit J. Causes of action, count 1, breach of contract. Okay. And again, the averments of 1 through 32 are realleged and incorporated herein by reference. On February 23, 2023, plaintiff and defendant entered a loan modification agreement which reduced the principal balance of plaintiff's loan for 211 to 164 and extended the term of the loan from 30 to 40 years. This agreement, however, did not reduce plaintiff's monthly mortgage payment as was expected, but instead increased the principal and interest from $962.75 to $980.13. The modification agreement was entered into with the mutual understanding that the plaintiff's monthly payments would decrease as a result of the modification. However, defendant's actions in increasing plaintiff's monthly payment despite the reduction in principal constitute a breach of the modification agreement. Additionally, defendant failed to disclose material terms of loan modification, including the increase in the interest rate from 3.625% to 6.625%, which caused the unexpected increase in the monthly payments. Defendant's failure to disclose these material terms further constitutes a breach of duty of good faith and fair dealing implied in the modification agreement. As a result of defendant's breach, plaintiff has suffered financial hardship due to the increased monthly payments, which were contrary to the expectations created by a loan modification agreement. Plaintiff seeks a declaratory judgment that defendant breached the contract and declare it null and void. An injunction preventing the defendant from foreclosing on the plaintiff, punitive damages due to the defendant's egregious and bad faith conduct, compensatory damages for all losses incurred due to the fraud, including legal fees and damages for emotional distress. And of course, count 2 would be a violation of the FDCPA. LoanCare LLC is a debt collector as defined by the FDCPA because it regularly collects and attempts to collect debts owed by consumers. And basically, this important information about their violation, the FDCPA, has to do with 1692E, false or misleading representations. Defendant made false representations about the status of plaintiff's loan and the amount due as evidenced by contradictory statements in the loan records, Exhibit E, F, G, and H. Defendant represented that certain amounts were satisfied or paid off when they had not been, leading to confusion and distress for the plaintiff. Unfair practices, 1692F. Hold on. Okay. Defendant used unfair practices in its attempt to collect the loan by sending misleading and conflicting communications about the outstanding balance and amounts due, as shown in Exhibits D, E, F, and H. Defendant failed to provide clear, accurate, and consistent statements about the balance and made it difficult for plaintiff to determine what was owed and whether her payments had been properly applied. And then 1692G, validation of debts. And again, they didn't verify or validate the debts. Threats and deceptive means, 1692E10. Defendant used deceptive means to collect and attempt to collect the debt by sending statements with varying balances due, making contradictory statements regarding the status of the loan, telling her it's paid in full, for instance, causing confusion and distress for plaintiff. Defendant's actions in violating these provisions of the FDCPA were done willfully and knowingly. Okay, so basically, you know, the FDCPA, she's asking for relief under what they have here under 1692K, statutory damages as well as actual damages. The negligence, same thing. They had a duty of care to the plaintiff, and they, of course, breached their duty of care. I'm just going to go through this kind of quickly now, in case you guys are asleep yet. Causes of action, fraudulent inducement, and this is a good one, guys, because we'll get to the point here. They intentionally made false representations and omissions to plaintiff with the intent to deceive plaintiff into entering a loan modification agreement on or around February 23, 2023. Specifically, defendant fraudulently induced plaintiff to modifying her loan by making the following false representations. Defendant misrepresented that the loan modification would result in a decrease in plaintiff's monthly mortgage payment, despite the fact the modification increased the plaintiff's monthly payment from $962 to $980. Plaintiff failed to disclose material information about the terms of the modification, including but not limited to an increase of the interest rate from 3% to 6%, which contributed to the increase in the monthly payment amount. Defendant falsely represented that the modification would ease plaintiff's financial burden when in fact the opposite occurred. Defendant made these false representations with the intent to induce plaintiff to agree to the loan modification. And of course that violates Section 2701 of the Texas Business and Commercial or Commerce Code. A party commits fraudulent inducement if they intentionally make false representations or omissions with the intent to deceive another party into entering into a contract or transaction to establish a claim for fraudulent inducement. A plaintiff must show that the defendant made a false statement with the intent to deceive. The plaintiff reasonably relied on the false statement and that such reliance caused plaintiff to suffer damages. I think that pretty much sums it up, don't you? Okay, hold on one second. Let's check one more thing. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys this one. Dear Rachel, The terms of your mortgage loan have been fully satisfied. The closed document has been recorded, the official land records. Okay. Does that mean there's any balance due? No, it has been a pleasure to service your mortgage loan. Again, that's very misleading if you ask me. I thought you guys might want to see that one. Okay, guys, that's does it for today's episode. Thank you very much if you subscribe to my channel. It does help me. You can join my YouTube, or not my YouTube, my Facebook group, Foreclosure Help 777, which is right here. And if you're in foreclosure or you have any questions, you can always send me an email to foreclosurehelp777@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. And as always, everyone have a blessed day.